carrots, rutabagas, turnips, and fennel. And what we're going to talk about today is fennel and radishes. I have been growing this fennel through the whole summer, and what I'm finding is that when I went to harvest it today, it was still really small. And what I think happened is that it didn't have enough space. I had planned to make a grilled fennel salad, but instead I'm going to make a radish salad, which will have other ingredients as well. But let's talk about fennel for a minute, because fennel is a very interesting plant because all of the area is used. The seeds are used, the foliage is used. It tastes like licorice, and it smells that way too. And then you would normally have a bulb here, and as you can see, this is really small. So as I've said before, you have to be really flexible when you're planning a menu, and I had expected to have a really nice big bulb here and grill it, but since that's not the case, we're going to move on. And because I've got some radishes. This is actually a small radish that I pulled from the garden to show you, but what you'll see when we go into the kitchen is that I've got some really nice sized radishes to make for the salad. And again, you can tell how well they're growing by the size of their leaves. And the most important part of this is that when you take it in the house, you need to scrub off all the dirt really well. I'm also going to talk a little bit about mint, because the salad actually has mint as one of the ingredients. So I'm just going to cut some mint for the salad. And you can see this is spearmint, and it is going crazy. And what I did in this pot is that I kept it in the original pot that it came from, and that's because it's so invasive, which is a little tip for you. If you have a plant that you know is invasive and you don't want it to take over your garden, you can keep it in the pot, and then that way at the end of the summer or the fall, if you want to move it, you can hold on to it, or you can put it in your compost bin. So when we come back, I'm going to show you how to make a radish plum salad, and we're going to grill grass-fed lamb from Shady Grove Farm.
Buy local, buy fresh at the Dixie Lee Farmers Market at Renaissance Farragut. Join us every Saturday morning from 9 to noon for locally grown produce, cheeses, herbs, potted plants, baked goods, pottery, handmade crafts, and more. This is our third season, and the Dixie Lee Farmers Market is still making it easier for you to buy fresh locally grown produce and fresh local goods, all offered from Tennessee farmers and artisans. The Dixie Lee Farmers Market, 12740 Kingston Pike at Renaissance Farragut.
Spending a few minutes of your day preparing a meal for your family is really simple. I'm Jeffrey DeAlejandro, partner of the Crown and Goose in the Old City. I want to reach out to local folks and teach them how to cook a deliciously simple meal, how to choose good local products, and where to find them. Let's bring simplicity back into the kitchen. Join me every Friday at 3 for Marble City Eats, only on KnoxIvy.com.
Thank you to MetroPulse readers everywhere for voting Knox Ivy the best new business for 2010. We love our role as an active partner in telling the world about the people, ideas, and activities that shape East Tennessee. Cheers!
Hi, I'm Mary Gushin, and I'd like to welcome you to my new show, Mary's Kitchen and Garden. This show is all about healthy eating, which means using ingredients from your garden and market that are fresh and in season. The recipes that I'll show you are easy to make and not too expensive. Everyone is on a budget, and I want to show you how to cook without using preservatives. Healthy, flavorful meals that you and your family will love. And remember, this is your show. Email me with your suggestions about cooking and gardening for the show, plus recipes that you would like me to try. Join me for Mary's Kitchen and Garden, only on KnoxIvy.com. Hi, welcome back. This salad is really easy to make, and what's nice about it is that you could use whatever types of fruit that you have in your refrigerator. Today I'm going to use plums, oranges, and then the radishes like I talked about out on the patio. I wanted to show you how to clean a plum because a lot of times you just end up eating it as whole, but it's also very easy to clean. I've taken a knife and cut around the middle of it, and then you just turn it and it will come right open. And a lot of times you can just take your thumb and pull out the seed, or the pit, as you can call it. And you can just work it out and then put it into your compost bin. I also then take off the little part of the stem, and then I'm just going to slice it into pieces and put it into the bowl with the other plums that I've already cut. And then I've already started to slice the radishes. Like I said, these came from the garden. So what you can see is they're very light pink, and that's because I scrubbed them so well to get all of the dirt off, which is really, really important to make sure that you don't have any type of gritty taste. So I'm gonna put those into the bowl, and I just slice these into circles, so I'll show you how to do that. And then the last major ingredient is the orange. But the dressing has what's called orange zest. So before I slice up the orange, I'm going to use the zest. And what that means is that you're using the outside of the orange. It's full of flavor, and what's nice is that when you grate it, it will mix really well into the dressing. So you just want to take it along your grater, and you have to press a little bit hard because it is not difficult to get off, but you need to give it a little bit of pressure to loosen up that rind. And you can see that it's going into the bowl. So let me do this a little bit, put a little bit more muscle into it, and then we will be all set. This is a nice grater too, because I can go back and forth. It works both ways as far as the blades. And then you can take your fingers and carefully pull the zest off of the grater. You want to be careful because it can, be sharp, and you don't want to have any problems as far as getting cut from the blades. Rinse off my hands. So now I'm going to cut the orange in half because it's a pretty big orange, and then I will take the seeds out, put that into my compost bin, and pull out the segments. And the easiest way to do that is to just peel it. And then you just want to put those into the salad. And I like to have bite-sized pieces because sometimes if I use full size orange sections, then you would have to be cutting it. And I think for a salad, it's really nice to have the correct size as far as being able to enjoy it, because everyone will say that you don't want to cut lettuce, you want to tear it. But if you're in a restaurant and the lettuce is really large as far as the leaves, you're probably going to have to cut it. So it's just another nice little tip as far as when you're making a salad to have the size of the ingredient proper as far as to be able to eat it. So I'm going to put a couple more in. And then I'm going to use the second half for the dressing. So for the dressing, very simple. It's the juice of half of an orange. And this is a really nice Florida orange, so the juice comes right out. As you can see, it's just going right into the bowl. And then you have a 1/4 cup of olive oil. I've made a lot of dressings over the years, so I'm just going to eyeball this. And then also Dijon mustard, which is a nice light mustard, a tablespoon of Dijon. Put that right in. And then salt and pepper. Again, you want to season this the way that you like it. We like a lot of pepper in our house and just a little bit of salt like I've mentioned. And so I'm just going to put just a couple of dashes of salt. And you could also add some garlic or other types of spices if you like. And now we're just going to whisk it. And what this does is that it brings together the mustard, the oil, and the orange juice together, which is called emulsifying. And you can see it's starting to thicken up. And it smells really good. So then we want to pour this into the bowl over the fruit. And then we're also going to take some almonds. These are just slivered almonds. I'm not going to use the whole package, but about half of the package. And then I also have the fresh mint that I cut when we were outside for the first segment. And what I've done is I've just taken my scissors and chopped that. Let me get a spoon. And then you just want to toss this. And then you want to refrigerate it because you want to let the fruit and let everything come together as far as all of the flavors. So when we come back, I'm going to meet you outside at the grill and we're going to grill grass-fed lamb.
Tired of mulching every year? Use Magic Mulch instead. It's an eco-friendly alternative to traditional mulch that lasts for up to 10 years. Looks just like wood mulch and is odor-free. Get 10% off. Go to magicmulch.net right now.
Buy local. Buy fresh at the Dixie Lee Farmers Market at Renaissance Farragut. Join us every Saturday morning from 9 to noon for locally grown produce, cheeses, herbs, potted plants, baked goods, pottery, handmade crafts, and more. This is our third season and the Dixie Lee Farmers Market is still making it easier for you to buy fresh locally grown produce and fresh local goods, all offered from Tennessee farmers and artisans. The Dixie Lee Farmers Market, 12740 Kingston Pike at Renaissance Farragut.
I'm Don Sproles.
And I'm Karen Sproles.
We are the owners of the Lunchbox Restaurants.
Our cooking here is a lot like you would do in your own home.
It's like having you in our living room, having you in our dining room.
We do everything from scratch. All of our baking, all of our cooking is done from scratch. We know what's in our product. Our catering services are rather unique in that we're totally customized. We've done dinners for 2 people that a husband will pick up and surprise his wife with and take home. And we've done 1,500 box breakfasts. We can produce a wonderful event regardless of what your budget is.
We have customers that we feed today that we fed June 3rd, 1981. I think we can take a great deal of satisfaction out of that. And we enjoy working together and have continued to do that all these years.
Want to host or produce your own show? Knox Ivy is the solution. Email info@knoxivy.com for more information.
We're ready to grill the lamb, and I want to explain the preparation that I did in getting ready to grill the lamb. Since the lamb is grass-fed, I decided to marinate it overnight in lemon juice, olive oil, and rosemary. You can see the bits of rosemary on it, and I also use salt and pepper too. And this way it should be nice and tender. It's the first time actually that I've grilled grass-fed lamb, so this will be a wonderful experience for you, the viewer, and for myself. What's interesting here too is that I have 2 different cuts of lamb. I have lamb chops from the loin, and then I also have a lamb steak, which again, I've never had a lamb steak before, so this should be really neat as far as tasting it. This is all from Shady Grove Farm, which I've talked about in my previous show. They are a true grass-fed farm. The animals are moved from area to area so that they're always eating a variety of different grasses. In fact, I believe it's 7 grasses that they are eating. And they also have the grass, the free-range chickens, which I did a chicken in a previous show, and also they have farm fresh eggs. So it's really a wonderful opportunity for me to see everything and to really understand why it's so important to eat homegrown, grass-fed beef, lamb, chickens, vegetables, whatever you can possibly get from a farm is how we really want to go, because what you're doing is really eating the best possible food that you can with no additives and preservatives, which is why I marinated the lamb overnight, because I wanted to make sure that it was nice and tender, and that's the same process that I took when I did the short ribs last week. So it's going to grill for probably 3 to 4 minutes. So now I'm going to step over to the grill and put the lamb chops and the lamb steak on the grill. And then when we come back, I will have them turned over and then we will talk about tasting. So let me just move over to my grill. I have the grill set at 500 degrees. So it's smoking a little bit, but that's okay. And the reason that you want it that way is because you want it to sear in the juices of the cut of meat that you're grilling. And it's going to fire up a little bit because of the olive oil. And these are a little bit thin as far as the width of the meat. So once I get them on, I'm going to turn it down, because usually the lamb chops are more of an inch thick, and these are more of, say, a ½ inch. And sometimes the thinner cuts of meat can be a little bit harder to cook because it's more difficult as far as being able to measure the temperature as far as it being done. So what I'm going to do once I get them on is I'm going to turn them, and then I'm going to turn the heat down and let them sear. It's starting to rain. This is what happens when you do a live show. Let me get them turned, and then I will be able to go inside. Let me move my grill up, get it under my umbrella. You can see that it is nice. We're getting some nice grill marks on the lamb. So let me get them turned. I really do want you to see this because it's important to understand how they should look. And again, this is the best possible lamb that can be eaten. And I can tell you that Shady Grove does provide their products all through the year, even in the winter. So when we come back, I'm going to close this up. I'm going to turn down my heat. When we come back, we're going to finish up in my kitchen. We'll do a taste along with the plum and orange salad.
Want your business to be seen by thousands daily? Knox Ivy is the solution. Email info@knoxivy.com for more information.
How are you using social media to connect people to your business?
More than 1.6 million people are actively engaged on Facebook right now.
What are your regular clients saying about you?
Generation Y now outnumbers the baby boomers, and 96% of them are using social networking sites.
Could these be your potential clients?
Since 2000, there has been a 130% jump in the number of Americans who use the internet.
Local results are integral to all major search engines.
And advertising online means you're right next to your point of sale.
Knox Ivy offers local businesses a cost-effective way to advertise.
We can help integrate your advertising with social media
and optimize your exposure. Knox Ivy, new answers for new media.
Steps up, it's in.
Sarah just scored the winning goal in the last game of the season. Her dad couldn't make the game because he's out of town on a business trip, but he was able to watch his daughter during that exciting moment because of Knox Ivy. Knox Ivy is unique because its specifically local content reaches a global audience, making it possible for local businesses to reach their target market but still connect with viewers worldwide. Knox Ivy, new answers for new media.
So I finished the grilling and I've brought in the lamb chops. What's important here to remember is that you want to let them sit for a good 10 minutes because that way the juices will stay in the chops. Again, very important, especially when we're working with grass-fed, but I can tell you, and you can see how juicy and beautiful the lamb chops and the lamb steak appear. They smell just fantastic. It probably took about, I want to say, 4 minutes on each side to do the grilling, and you can gauge that by using a thermometer, or also you could take them off of the grill and cut them to see how you like to have them as far as wellness. I prefer to have my lamb on a medium to medium rare scale, so that is how these were prepared. So I'm going to put those down because I want to show you how nice the salad looks. I'm just going to stir it just to coat the fruit and the radishes with the dressing, and it smells really good too. So let's do a taste. Put some salad on my plate. Along with, I'm actually going to try both the lamb chop and the lamb steak because I've never had a lamb steak before. So I'm excited to give it a try. So this is the steak, and this is the lamb. Now, the one thing that you have to look at when you're preparing lamb is that it does have some fat on it. So you want to cut away the fat after you've cooked it, because you want the fat on when you're cooking it, because it gives it a lot of flavor. But you obviously don't want the fat as far as calories and digestion goes within as far as eating. And I also like to have mint jelly and dip my lamb into the mint. So I've got some mint jelly right here with some of the spearmint from the garden. I'm going to take a little bit and give it a try. Oh my gosh, it is so good. It is so tender. I think marinating it overnight did it a world of justice, because I can taste the lemon, I can taste the rosemary, and it's just wonderful. Let me try the lamb steak. Again, just a different cut. It's cutting beautifully. Whoops. I'll try that with the mint jelly. Very good too. It has a little bit of a different texture, but the flavor comes through too with the lamb and with the olive oil and the lemon juice and the rosemary. I'm just going to take a radish, give the salad a try. You can really taste the orange juice and the spearmint from the plant that I picked. With having the spearmint in it, it gives it a lot of flavor. Right now, what I'm going to do is have you watch a short segment of the UT Gardens. That's an ongoing part of my show that I filmed in July when it was 100 degrees. So bear with me when you see how warm I am, along with James Newbern. But I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next week. Now we're in the lower part of the botanical gardens, kind of in the at the back end. And what you'll see is that we have a woodland meadow garden on my left, and then on my right to the back is a beautiful herb spiral garden that we'll get a close-up of. And then in the way back, we're going to take you and show you where the power plants garden is. So here we go.
This is a great part of the garden. And again, we're here in mid-August, hot weather, but this meadow garden is doing great out here in full sun. It's a little between seasons right now. You see the cosmos has already done its thing and is setting its seed, which is exactly what we want it to do. And then we have the legume plant, the yellow pea-like plant there. Also some black-eyed Susans and just a wildflower mixture. These do grow in full sun, but you can have, like you said, a woodland shade mixture if you so desire. And look at the insects that it's attracting. Oh, isn't that?
That's interesting. What is that?
I am no entomologist,
yes.
But
it's an interesting looking bug.
You know, I think they call that the cosmos sucking bug or something, because they just name them. Yeah. They just describe them.
And you can see the butterflies going through.
Right. But this is very easy to maintain. We simply let all the flowers go to seed. We let it die down naturally. And then in the winter, late winter, early spring, I kind of clean it up. I even mow over it.
Right.
And get all that seed dispersed into the soil. And then it comes up just naturally by itself and gets fuller and fuller year after year. You know, this herb spiral was the wonderful idea of our landscape contractor that works with us on installing a lot of these bigger features in the garden. And this is our herb garden, and as you can see, it just spirals around, and it again a nice soil mixture with a good mixture of sand, soil, and then the very small pea gravel mulch. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting, you can see the irrigation tube right below the finial there, the irrigation pop-up head, and the herbs at the top require more water than the herbs at the bottom. So as it comes down, it gets drier. And so that's really a neat way to water. And it's very easy to harvest too. This is our power plants garden, and what we're showcasing here are plants that are valued for their fuel potential and as alternatives to fossil fuels, which is very important as we seek to become more independent in our fuel supply. That's why we've used the old truck and the rusted out gasoline tank as kind of the picture of what used to be, and then the plants act as what could be. And so we have soybeans here that can be used for fuel. We have some sunflowers that are growing in the back of the truck that can be used for fuel. Even things like castor bean, the red-leafed star-shaped plant. We're all familiar with castor oil that some of us who are old enough were given that oil as children, but that can be used as a fuel as well. Peanut oil that we have, peanuts growing here, can be used as a fuel. We also always try to have a little whimsy in this garden because it is such a serious issue, but we've added this nice grasshopper that seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. Of course, most people have heard about the switchgrass program, and what we have right in front of us is indeed some switchgrass that is a great potential for fuel.
Hi, I'm Mary Gushin, and I want to welcome you to Mary's Kitchen and Garden. Today we are going to be grilling vegetables and making a tomato mozzarella salad. The vegetables are going to be used in a pasta primavera, and what's great is that I still have tomatoes growing in my garden. These are from the garden that I picked this morning, and then I'm also going to cut some basil, which will be in the tomato mozzarella salad. As you can see, it's still going strong and very nice and bushy, and I really think that I'll be able to use this until I have a frost. So when we come back, we'll be in the kitchen, and I will see you soon. I'm back in the kitchen and I'm going to make the tomato mozzarella salad. But what I did first, because of time with the show, is that I've already boiled the bow tie pasta that I'm going to use for the pasta primavera. So I'm going to take it off of the burner and bring it over to my sink. And I'm using a type of colander that is in the pot as it cooks, which is really nice because when I pull it out, you'll see that the pasta comes right out of the pot. And you really want to get all of the water out of it because it's important so that the pasta, all the moisture is absorbed and evaporated, so that when I make the sauce, that the pasta really grabs the sauce. And for the sauce, I do need a little bit of the pasta water. So I'm going to pull this out and get my measuring cup. You just want about a cup of pasta water, and that's really going to be eyeballed. So I'm just going to put it over to the side, and now I'm going to make the mozzarella tomato salad with homegrown tomatoes. Like I said at the opening, we still actually have them, so it's very exciting. What's interesting, though, you're going to see is these tomatoes look like they've been through the mill and back. And the reason for that is because as the weather has gotten cooler, they're actually on the vine longer and they're heavy. And so what happens is that I think that they're cracking because of the weight and the length of time that they are on the vine. But they still taste great. And all that you want to do is cut around the cracked area after obviously you've washed them, which I've already done. And you can see how beautiful and juicy. They smell great. They just taste fantastic. So you don't need to be afraid of a tomato that has some cracks. As I cut these, you can see the juice coming out of them. That's how nice and ripe they are. So I'm going to do that. And I've actually had these out of the garden for 4 or 5 days, just in the house. And that is exactly what I've read too, is that once I bring them in, they're still ripening, and I can tell you that they're a little bit softer, and they obviously they are very juicy. So this is a real easy recipe that just takes a few minutes to make, and it's nice because you can actually make it ahead of time and then have it, say, to take you could take it to a ball football game if you like. I've got a few cherry tomatoes that I'm just going to put into that I'm just going to cut in half. This salad actually tastes even better when it has been marinated in the salad dressing for a couple hours. So I really encourage you, if you decide to make it ahead of time. And that way all of the flavors are absorbed into the tomatoes. So I'm just going to cut these into chunks. You can see I've got some fresh basil here that I cut when we started the show. And that is smelling great, and I'm going to use it in the salad. And I think I'm even going to freeze some of the basil so that I get every last leaf off of it as far as when fall comes and the frost, which hopefully won't be for quite some time down here. If we can get through December, that would be wonderful. Considering how hot it's been, hopefully that happens. So, one last tomato. All right, that's all cut. Let me get the board out of the way. And what I like to do with the leaves, I've already washed these by watering, and really, when I water, I actually really wash the leaves, because if I get them wet now, sometimes they will turn a brown, so I don't want that to happen. But I just like to roll them up and cut them right into the salad. And that's called chivinade. That's a French word that I've talked about before. So again, I'm just going to roll them up. And what's nice is that when you're actually doing this with your fingers, you're bringing out the oil that is in the basil, and that brings out all the flavor. So you're actually encouraging all of the flavor to come out in the leaves. It smells so good. So I'm going to do one more. Just very easy to chop. I think a scissors is so much easier to use than a knife. That's my own personal preference. Now what I did is I went to the grocery store yesterday and I bought mozzarella balls that actually already have some olive oil in them and some seasoning. I just found this to be so much easier because I actually had a problem finding just plain mozzarella balls. So we're just going to put this in. And then we're going to make the dressing. Let me get a bowl. This is a very easy dressing to make. I've made it before. It's kind of my old standby. You just want to use about 1/4 cup of olive oil and a couple tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. This is really good balsamic vinegar as far as it's aged. And what's nice about that is that it has a really strong but very nice flavor. And then about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Very similar to the dressing that I made. Let me get a whisk. The dressing that I made in last week's show with the radishes and the plums. Then lots of pepper. Again, you could put in other flavors if you decided you wanted to. And then we're just going to whisk it. The same thing is happening as far as it's emulsifying and all of the flavors are coming together. And you can really smell that balsamic vinegar. And it's nice because you can go to your regular grocery store now and find aged balsamic vinegar and aged olive oil, items that will last you a long time. They might be a little bit more expensive, but just like I've talked about using grass-fed beef and lamb and chicken, you don't eat as much because it tastes so good. Get a spoon. And in the long run, it actually ends up not costing you very much more money. So now you just want to turn this nice and gently because you don't want to have the tomatoes fall apart. Just want to coat the tomatoes and also the mozzarella. And that's it. So what I'm going to do now is put this in the refrigerator and let it chill. And then when we come back, I'll show you how to make pasta primavera. We're actually going to make it with grilled vegetables. So I will meet you on the deck in front of the grill, and then we will finish that up.
Buy local. Buy fresh at the Dixie Lee Farmers Market at Renaissance Farragut. Join us every Saturday morning from 9 to noon for locally grown produce, cheeses, herbs, potted plants, baked goods, pottery, handmade crafts, and more. This is our third season, and the Dixie Lee Farmers Market is still making it easier for you to buy fresh locally grown produce and fresh local goods, all offered from Tennessee farmers and artisans. The Dixie Lee Farmers Market, 12740 Kingston Pike at Renaissance Farragut.
Spending a few minutes of your day preparing a meal for your family is really simple. I'm Jeffrey D'Alejandro, partner of the Crown and Goose in the Old City. I want to reach out to local folks and teach them how to cook a deliciously simple meal, how to choose good local products, and where to find them. Let's bring simplicity back into the kitchen. Join me every Friday at 3 for Marble City Eats only on KnoxIvy.com.
Thank you to MetroPros readers everywhere for voting Knox Ivy the best new business for 2010. We love our role as an active partner in telling the world about the people, ideas, and activities that shape East Tennessee. Cheers!
Hi, I'm Mary Gushin, and I'd like to welcome you to my new show, Mary's Kitchen and Garden. This show is all about healthy eating, which means using ingredients from your garden and market that are fresh and in season. The recipes that I'll show you are easy to make and not too expensive. Everyone is on a budget, and I want to show you how to cook without using preservatives. Healthy, flavorful meals that you and your family will love. And remember, this is your show. Email me with your suggestions about cooking and gardening for the show, plus recipes that you would like me to try. Join me for Mary's Kitchen and Garden, only on KnoxIvy.com. We're back on the deck at the grill, and as you can see, the temperature is at about 425 degrees. And that's about what you want. You want it to be very hot because you're actually going to sear the vegetables so that they have a nice coating on them, just like we did with the lamb in the previous episode. So I'm going to open this up, and what you're going to see is that I also have a grill pan for the vegetables. And that helps to make sure that with the smaller pieces that I don't lose any vegetables into the actual body of the grill. So you can hear that searing, which is exactly what we want. We've got asparagus, eggplant, red pepper, and mushrooms. And so we're going to try to fit these all on, and if they don't fit, that's okay. We'll just do what we can with them. You want to be really careful because of the heat. It's very hot, and that's why I have a nice long-handled spatula to use, because that way I don't have to get close to the heating element. So we're going to work with that. And I have my my mitt out in case I need it. And now I'm going to close it up for a couple of minutes and let it get really, really hot. I'm going to turn it up. And what's really nice about grilling vegetables is that they just taste so good. And what we're going to do is put it in a pasta primavera. So you can always use grilled vegetables in different dishes to add the flavors, where instead of just sautéing them or baking them, grilling just really brings out the flavor. And especially in the fall, it's just nice to be outside doing the grilling. And very easy. The marinade is olive oil and salt and pepper. So it's very easy to do. You could add balsamic vinegar to this, but I didn't want to because of the recipe that I'm going to show you how to make. It's very easy, it's very fast, and it's also very low cost. And the kids like it too because there's so many different colors and textures, and you'd be amazed at how much they'll like grilled vegetables versus, say, boiled vegetables. So I'm going to open this back up, and you can hear it sizzling. We also have someone working on their yard. If you hear that in the background, that's what it is, but that's all part